Stop coloring your gray hair, just for a moment, and listen carefully. I know that sounds surprising, especially if you've been covering your gray hair for years. Maybe every month you sit in a salon chair or stand in front of your bathroom mirror with a box of hair dye, hoping this time the color will look completely natural. For many women, this has become a routine they never questioned. Gray roots appear, the dye comes out, and the cycle repeats again and again. But what if I told you that your gray hair isn't simply a sign that you're getting older? What if the real reason your hair is losing its color has very little to do with age itself, and everything to do with a biological process happening deep inside your hair follicles? And what if one overlooked nutrient, supported by scientific research, could help your body protect the cells responsible for your natural hair color? Before you spend another dollar on hair dye, I want you to stay with me, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you think about gray hair forever. My name is Dr. Luna, and for more than 3 decades, I've studied how nutrition, aging, and natural compounds influence the body's ability to repair and protect itself. Throughout those years, I've spoken with countless women who believed their gray hair was permanent, that once the color disappeared, there was nothing they could do except keep dyeing it for the rest of their lives. The truth is far more interesting than that. Gray hair is not simply a cosmetic issue. It is not your body giving up, and in many cases, it is not just genetics deciding your future. Modern research suggests that your hair follicles are constantly responding to what's happening inside your body. The nutrients you absorb, the oxidative stress your cells experience, and even the health of your scalp all influence how your hair grows. That's why 2 women of the same age can look completely different. One may have only a few gray strands, while another has lost nearly all of her natural color. If aging were the only reason, this difference wouldn't be so dramatic. So what is really happening? To understand that, we first need to look at how your hair gets its color in the first place. Every single strand of hair begins its life inside a tiny structure beneath your scalp called a hair follicle. Hidden inside each follicle are remarkable cells known as melanocytes. These specialized cells produce a natural pigment called melanin, and melanin is what gives your hair its beautiful shade, whether it's black, brown, blonde, or red. When you're younger, these melanocytes work efficiently. They continuously produce melanin, delivering fresh pigment into every new strand of hair as it grows. That's why your hair appears rich, vibrant, and full of life. But over time, something begins to change. Many people assume these pigment-producing cells simply wear out because of age. However, researchers have discovered that another process is taking place behind the scenes. The melanocytes are placed under increasing stress, making it harder and harder for them to produce the pigment your hair depends on. The important question is, what is creating that stress? The answer may surprise you. It isn't your shampoo, it isn't washing your hair too often, and it isn't because your body suddenly forgets how to make color. Inside your hair follicles, a natural chemical slowly begins to build up over the years. At first, the amount is tiny, but as time passes, it accumulates little by little until it starts interfering with the very cells responsible for producing melanin. Scientists now believe this invisible process plays one of the biggest roles in why so many women begin noticing gray hair in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. So what is this mysterious compound? And why does it increase as we get older? That's exactly what I'll explain next, because once you understand this single biological process, everything about gray hair starts to make sense. If you're still with me, you're already ahead of most people, because once you understand what I'm about to explain, you'll never look at gray hair the same way again. A few moments ago, I told you that gray hair isn't simply caused by getting older. The real story begins with something happening deep inside every single hair follicle. Your body naturally produces a substance called hydrogen peroxide. Yes, it's the same compound many people recognize from first aid bottles, but your body actually makes tiny amounts of it every day as part of normal metabolism. When you're young, this isn't a problem. Your body has a remarkable defense system that keeps hydrogen peroxide under control. It relies on a powerful protective enzyme called catalase. Think of catalase as your body's cleanup crew. Every time hydrogen peroxide appears, catalase quickly breaks it down into harmless water and oxygen before it has the chance to damage healthy cells. For years, this system works beautifully. But as women grow older, something begins to change. The body gradually produces less catalase. It doesn't stop overnight, but little by little, its protective power declines. As that happens, hydrogen peroxide starts building up inside the hair follicle. At first, the increase is so small that you notice nothing. Then one day, you discover your first gray hair. A few months later, there are several more. Eventually, the silver strands seem to multiply faster than ever before. This isn't happening because your hair suddenly forgot how to make color. It's happening because the cells responsible for producing pigment are being placed under constant oxidative stress. Remember the melanocytes we talked about earlier? These tiny pigment-producing cells are incredibly sensitive. They thrive in a healthy environment, but excessive hydrogen peroxide acts almost like a natural bleaching agent inside the follicle. Instead of protecting your hair's natural color, the follicle slowly loses its ability to produce enough melanin for each new strand. The result is simple. Less melanin means lighter hair. Less pigment means gray hair. And eventually, when very little pigment remains, the hair appears completely white. What's fascinating is that scientists didn't arrive at this conclusion through guesswork. Researchers studying aging hair follicles found that people with gray hair often had much higher levels of hydrogen peroxide inside their follicles, while the activity of catalase was noticeably lower. In other words, the body's natural defense system had weakened, allowing oxidative stress to damage the pigment-producing cells over time. This discovery changed the conversation about gray hair. For decades, many people believed graying was simply unavoidable. But modern research suggests there is much more happening beneath the surface than anyone previously realized. Now, here's where the story becomes even more interesting. If declining catalase is part of the problem, could supporting the body's natural protective system also help support healthy pigment-producing cells? That question led scientists to investigate several nutrients involved in this process. Again and again, one lesser-known nutrient kept appearing in the research. Not vitamin C, not collagen, not biotin, a nutrient that many women have never even heard of. It's called PABA, also known as vitamin B10. Unlike the trendy supplements advertised everywhere today, PABA has quietly been studied for decades because of its unique relationship with hair pigmentation and healthy melanocyte function. Some early clinical studies even reported that certain individuals experienced a gradual return of natural hair color after consistent PABA supplementation, especially when it was combined with other supportive B vitamins. Does that mean it's a miracle cure? No, science is rarely that simple. But the findings were significant enough that researchers continued investigating why this nutrient seemed to influence hair pigmentation in ways few others could. And once you understand how PABA works inside the body, the results begin to make much more sense. Because PABA doesn't simply color the hair, it supports the biological environment that allows your own pigment-producing cells to function more effectively. And that's exactly what I'll explain next, because PABA works through three fascinating biological pathways that most people have never heard about. Now, let's answer the most important question. How can one simple nutrient influence something as complex as gray hair? The answer lies in understanding how your body works, not by forcing change, but by supporting the systems that are already there. This is where PABA, sometimes called vitamin B10, becomes so interesting. Unlike a hair dye that simply covers the outside of the hair shaft, PABA has been studied because of the role it may play in supporting the environment inside the hair follicle. Researchers believe its potential benefits are linked to 3 different biological pathways. The first pathway involves the protective enzyme we discussed earlier, catalase. Remember, catalase is responsible for helping your body break down hydrogen peroxide before it can create excessive oxidative stress. Scientists have explored whether nutrients like PABA may help support the body's normal enzyme systems. Rather than acting like a magic switch, the goal is to give your body the nutritional support it needs to function as efficiently as possible. Think of your body like a garden. If the soil lacks nutrients, the flowers struggle to bloom. You don't paint the flowers to make them healthier, you improve the soil. In much the same way, healthy hair begins with a healthy environment inside the follicle. The second pathway involves melanin production itself. Your hair gets its natural color from melanin, but melanin cannot be produced unless specialized enzymes inside the follicle are working properly. Those enzymes depend on several vitamins and minerals to do their job. That's why researchers rarely look at one nutrient alone. Instead, they study how different nutrients work together as a team. This brings us to the third pathway, and it may be the most surprising of all. Over the last decade, scientists have discovered that your gut health influences far more than digestion. The trillions of bacteria living inside your digestive system help produce and recycle important nutrients that support many parts of the body, including your skin, your immune system, and even your hair. As we grow older, the balance of these beneficial bacteria naturally changes. Some helpful strains become less abundant, making it harder for the body to maintain optimal levels of certain nutrients. This is one reason researchers have become increasingly interested in supporting overall nutrition instead of focusing on one symptom at a time. But here's something many people don't know. There is a natural food that contains PABA, along with several other nutrients involved in healthy hair pigmentation. It's not expensive. It's not rare, and many women have seen it sitting on a grocery store shelf without realizing its nutritional value. I'm talking about unsulfured blackstrap molasses. Unlike refined sugar, blackstrap molasses is rich in naturally occurring minerals such as iron, copper, magnesium, potassium, and several B vitamins. These nutrients work together in ways isolated supplements often cannot. Copper, for example, plays an important role in the normal production of melanin. Iron supports healthy oxygen delivery throughout the body, while B vitamins contribute to normal cellular function. Instead of providing a single nutrient, blackstrap molasses delivers a combination that may help support the overall health of the hair follicle. This is why many people prefer obtaining nutrients from whole foods whenever possible. However, there is an important detail that most people miss. Not all blackstrap molasses is the same. If you're choosing it for nutritional purposes, look specifically for unsulfured blackstrap molasses. This variety undergoes less processing and retains more of its natural nutritional profile. And the way you take it may also make a difference. In the next part, I'll show you the simple daily routine, how to prepare it correctly, the best time to take it, and one additional step that may help improve scalp circulation and support healthier hair from the roots.